Allat is a name or deity Muslims pretend that doesn't exist in the Quran. However, if you take a look in Quran 53:19-20 where it states, and I quote, "Have you seen Lat and Uzzah, and another, the third, Manat?" Scholars have disputed the very meaning of Allat. It is said that the idol Lat, which was a man who lived on a rock near Taif, and used to entertain the pilgrims to Mecca with barley drinks and food. When he died, the people built a shrine to him on the same rock and began worshipping him. These deities were thought to be daughters of God by the Arabs, which can be found in many books published on Islam. In a book written by Dr. Robert Morey, entitled The Islamic Invasion, pages 78-79, he states the following. In order to appease his pagan family members and the members of the Quraysh tribe, he decided that the best thing he could do was to admit that it was perfectly proper to pray to and worship the three daughters of Allah, Allat, Al-Uzzah, and Manat. This led to the famous satanic verses in which Muhammad, in a moment of weakness and supposedly under the inspiration of Satan, according to early Muslim authorities, succumbed to the temptation to appease the pagan mobs in Mecca, Surah 53:19. The story of Muhammad's temporary appeasement of the pagans by allowing them their polytheism cannot be ignored or denied. It is a fact of history that is supported by all Middle East scholars, Western and Muslim. Also, according to the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara G. Walker, she states, Allah, late Islamic masculinization of the Arabian goddess, Allat or Al-Layat, the Allatu of the Babylonians, formerly worshipped at the Kaaba in Mecca. It has been shown that the Allah of Islam was a male transformation of the primitive lunar deity of Arabia. Her ancient symbol, the crescent moon, still appears on Islamic flags, even though modern Muslims no longer admit any feminine symbolism whatever with the holy patriarchal Allah. More and more authors are coming forth showing the fallibility in the Islamic religion and how Islamic belief system simply does not make any sense. People are coming to the reality with all of the fanaticism in Islam, there is really no doctrine behind all of it. And the majority of Muslims who are supposedly living their lives by the Quran and willing to die for it, can't even read the Quran in the Arabic in which it was revealed. They have no idea what the Quran really says. They are taking what some imam, or sheikh's interpretation and basing their soul on it. However, getting back to the point, almost every tribe of Arabia seemed to have their own deity. These are the names of the tribes and the idols they worshipped. Tribes of Thaqif and Quraysh worshipped Al-Lat, tribe of Ghatafan worshipped Al-Uzzah, tribe of Kalb worshipped Wad, tribe of Hamdan worshipped Suwa, tribe of Madhij worshipped Yagath, tribe of Murad worshipped Yag, and the tribe of Himyar worshipped Nasr. So, the Arabs took on names which classified them as servants of these deities, whom they thought to be their intercessors before God. For instance, Abd Uzzah, servant of Al-Uzzah, Abd Wad, servant of Wad, Abd Yagath, servant of Yagath, and Abd Al-Allat, servant of Al-Lat. The names of these deities coincide with the names of Allah found in the Quran. Al-Uzzah, Allah Azizu, the 8th attribute, Quran 14-4, Al-Allat, Allah, Quran 12-1. Allat was one of the 360 statues kept sacred and worshipped in a cube-shaped building 40 by 40 called the Kaaba, which means cube. The Kaaba sits in the center of their holy city called Mecca, Saudi Arabia today, and is the center of worship of the Mohammedan religion. It has also become an object of worship where people cry over it and kiss the Kaaba. Pay close attention to the name Al-Allat, which is Abd Al-Allat or Abdullah. Remember, the Prophet Muhammad's father's name was Abdullah or servant of Lat. The name Abdullah or Abdullah could not have meant servant of Allah because according to Muslims, the Prophet Muhammad was the one who founded Islam and Allah had not revealed the Quran and his name Allah before that. You teach that it was Jehovah which is found in the Torah. Now, you may want to deny that the Prophet Muhammad's family, the tribe of Quraysh, were not servants of deities. Here is an excerpt which verifies this. Al-Lat was worshipped by the tribe of Thaqif at Taif. Others say that she was to be found in the valley of Nakala, near Mecca, where the tribe of Quraysh worshipped her. Right in your own Hadith, it speaks of the female idol called Al-Lat which was worshipped by the Quraysh tribe. Abu Hurairah reported Rasulullah as saying, "Whoever, inattentively, swears by Allah and Al-Uzzah, let him say there is no God but Allah, and whoever inattentively says to a companion of him, 'Come and gamble with me,' let him pay a charity." The following hadith also speaks about these deities. Translation from the Commentary of the Glorious Quran by Ibn Kathir, page 203, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas said, "I once swore by Allah and Al-Uzzah, whereupon my companions rebuked me saying, 'What a great thing you have done and what an obscenity you have uttered.' Then I mentioned that to Rasulullah and he said, 'Say there is no God but Allah, He is alone and has no partner, His is the kingdom and due to Him is gratitude, He has the power over all things, then exhale to your left side 3 times and seek refuge in Allah from Satan, curse him, and never utter such obscenity again.'" When you look into the Arabic of Quran 53:19, the word they have for Lot is Allat in the Arabic, which translates as female source. Allat is a feminine form of Allah, and is the female counterpart of Allah. Before Muhammad's time, the highest god, deity or idol, was the deity Allat. In the Arabic language, a ta marbota is added at the end of a word to make it feminine. For instance, you have the masculine Allah and the feminine Allat. When the ta marbota, which is equivalent to the English letter T, is added at the end of the word, it becomes a feminine. Muslims stole this concept from the ancient Egyptians, who added an et, or t, at the end of names to give it femininity. Take a look at the following names of gods and goddesses. Egyptian god, masculine, Nun. Egyptian goddess, feminine, Nunet, god and goddess of the ocean. Egyptian god, masculine, Hay. Egyptian goddess, feminine, Hehet, god and goddess of the immeasurable who created the sun. Egyptian god, masculine, Kek. Egyptian goddess, feminine, Keket, god and goddess of darkness which enables the sun to shine. Egyptian god, masculine, Amun. Egyptian goddess, feminine, Amunet, who are also known as Nu and Nui, god and goddess of mystery, who are made of air and as Nu and Nui invisible. As you can see, this is plagiarism made by Muslims, where bits and pieces of everybody's language and religion was used to create the Islam that is practiced today. Stories such as that of Abraham and Sarah laughing when the angels told her she was going to become pregnant can be found in the Bible, which came before the Quran, in Genesis 18:10-15. This same story is used in Quran 51:26-30. Quran 12:4 copies the story of the sun, moon and 11 stars prostrating to Joseph from Genesis 37:9. Then there is Luke 21:23 that states, "But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck, in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people." Matthew 24:19 states, "And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give such in those days." Now the Quran 22:2 states the following, "The day ye shall see it, every mother giving suck shall forget her suckling babe, and every pregnant female shall drop her load, unformed. Thou shalt see mankind as in a drunken riot, yet not drunk, but dreadful will be the wrath of Allah." Is this not the same passage? It is obvious that Mohammedans copied verses, names and incidents from the Bible which they swear are tampered with. If the book of Matthew, which was revealed in the year 41 AD in Palestine, 584 years before the year 610 AD when the Prophet Muhammad received the Quran, and the book of Luke, which was revealed in the year 58 AD, 552 years before the year 610 AD, when the Prophet Muhammad received the Quran, are not divinely inspired, ask them, why does one of its verses coincide with a verse found in the Quran? Why is it that certain parts of the book of Matthew, which is not a part of what the Quran calls Al-Injil, the Revelation or the book of Revelation, are found in the Quran word for word? Read and compare. 1. Before this we wrote in the Psalms, after the message given to Moses, my servants, the righteous, shall inherit the earth. Quran 21:105. The righteous shall inherit the land, and dwell therein forever. Psalms 37:29. 2. He is the first and the last. Quran 57:3. I am the first, and I am the last. Isaiah 44:6. 3. Deaf, dumb, and blind, they are void of wisdom. Quran 2:171. Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing or the blind. Exodus 4:11. 4. And never could we attribute any partners whatever to Allah. Quran 12:38. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Exodus 23. 5. When I have fashioned him, in due proportion, and breathed into him of my spirit. Quran 15:29. And breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Genesis 2:7. Either the Mohammedans and the Christians are worshipping the same God which Mohammedans swear they don't, or somebody was plagiarizing. And here's another so-called coincidence: the similarities between the lives of the Prophet David and the Prophet Muhammad. Looked upon Bathsheba's beauty, 2 Samuel 11:6-7. Looked upon Zainab's beauty, Maulana Ali Quran, Tafsir 1991. He eventually married Bathsheba, 2 Samuel 11:26-27. Muhammad married Zainab, Quran 33:37. Bathsheba's husband killed in battle, 2 Samuel 11:17. Zainab's husband killed in battle of Muta. In his dying days he was cared for by a virgin named Abishag, 1 Kings 1:2. In his dying days he was cared for by a virgin named by Aisha, Sayings of Muhammad page 7. It's obvious Muhammad wanted to be like David because he wanted to be ruler of the Ishmaelites just as David was the ruler of Israelites. David grew up a young shepherd boy who conquered Goliath, so Muhammad growing up as a young Arab desert boy wanted to conquer all the tribes of Medina. Just as David had many wives, so Muhammad had many wives also, 13 of them disregarding what was written in the Quran 4:3 that a man can only have 4 wives. So we keep asking, why is there evil, death, and the devil? Couldn't God say poof and it's gone? That's the power you give God. So in order for you to get to the point where you'll have the courage to question, it took you 25 years of Christianity, Judaism, Islam, words, meanings, translations, interpretations, rituals, practices, veils, and robes. Everything you needed so you'd have a full understanding of religion. And finally I said, are you worshipping an idol or are you worshipping idly? Are you sitting in a temple and worshipping a name that has been transformed? Mohammedans will say Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest, quick, and Allahu al-Azim, Allah is the supreme. The moment the name is being carved out and put on a ring or being carved out and put on a necklace, it may not bear a face, it could even be a pendant of the Kaaba, however that in itself is an idol. If you take a look in the Quran in 53:19 it speaks of a god by the name of Lot, however when you look into the Arabic of the quote you find the word they have for Lot is Allat, which translate as female source, which is a feminine form of their god Allah. Don't believe me, check it out. Another point I would like to make right here is, in view of the fact that before the Quran was edited and vowels were added, none of the languages or dialects of that part of the country had any vowels. For instance, you had Southern Arabian, and you had Kufic, as well as Hebrew, as well as Persian called Arabic today. None of these languages in their original form had any dots, like ta and bay, so when you write the word Allat in Arabic as found in the Quran today, Quran 53:19, it could not have been spelled in this manner, in the original manuscripts of the Quran. So, Allah and Allat in the original Quran, would be the same word. The root letters al-lan, are the same, and must come from the Hebrew word Elo, which comes from the Babylonian word Elo. They will say there is no God but God, yet teach that Allat is a feminine spelling of the word Allah. They will swear that Allat has never been a deity of the true Arabs which they claim they are. However, the Dictionary of Islam by Thomas Patrick Hughes says otherwise. Allat was the chief idol of the Banu Saqif at Taif. The name appears to be the feminine of Allah, God. There is no way that Muslims can get around this. They will verbally deny that they don't worship Allah. However, if you look in their books and magazines you will see that the name Allah has been distorted. And as I have explained earlier, this is the name Allat, not Allah. And this is the deity that they have you worshipping. And because they have made Allat a counterpart to their Allah, they have committed what they call shirk, binding partners with Allah, which is something that the Quran 112:1-4 speaks totally against. Quran 112:1-4, say he is God, the one and only, God, the eternal absolute, he begetteth not, nor is he begotten, and there is none like unto him. The Quran clearly says that there is none like unto him, so you should ask your so-called Muslim scholars why are they denying the fact that the Arabs, some of which were members of the Prophet Muhammad's family, worship the deity Allat. The Muslims' hypocrisy and tunnel vision stops there. Not only did they confuse non-Arabic speaking people by making additions to the Quran or wanted to use the names that are found in the Torah, they don't even want to follow the laws of the Quran 1094 where it tells you to go back to the book from before thee, which would be the Torah, so-called 5 books of Moses, and the Injil, the book of Revelation. Muslims will find every reason in the world not to do so or adhere to this one scripture. Mistakenly, most Muslims are under the impression that the Quran says that the Bible is tampered with. Muslims think that the Quran is referring to the whole Bible, when it states that the Jews were altering words from their places in Quran 4:46. However, the Quran lists several books which are to be followed and were sent as a guidance for man, as Suhuf, Az-Zabur, the Psalms, Al-Hikmah, the Wisdom, Al-Injil, the Evangel, Revelation, At-Torah, the Torah, and the Quran itself. Muslims don't even know that a Torah existed in Abraham's time, which is spoken about in Genesis 26:5 where it says, and I quote, because that Abraham obeyed my voice, and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. The Hebrew word used for laws in this quote is Torah, meaning law or teaching. This means that there is a law that Abraham followed, which is the prophet whose religion you are supposed to be following according to Quran 2:130, as Muslims are also misinformed. And the Muslims that do know a little about the Quran, will use any excuse and say that the scriptures which came before the Quran, which are the Torah and the Injil, are tampered with, so this is why they don't use them. However, this is not true and I am about to prove this to you. Most Muslims want to prove that the scriptures prior to the coming of the Quran were tampered with for fear of learning or having to adhere to the 613 laws which were given to Moses, Quran 19:51-52. Let me make this quite clear that if you say the Bible was tampered with, I would like to know when did this occur? Was it before or after the coming of the Prophet Muhammad? Because you say before, the Quran itself will disprove you for the same verses which you say confirm the Bible tampered with. Quran 2-140, 378, 446, 544, 7-162 and states that the tampering was done in that day and time. So we can agree that the Bible was not tampered with up until the year 610 AD. Muhammad revealed the following verse stating that the scriptures prior to the Quran were being confirmed by the Quran itself, and would guard their every word in safety. To say that the Bible was tampered with before the arrival of Muhammad would make him a liar also because it states in the Quran 4:47, O ye people of the book, believe in what we have, now, revealed, confirming what was, already, with you, before we changed the face. And in Quran 2:41 it states, and believe in what I reveal, confirming the revelation which is with you, and be not the first to reject faith therein. Now, if you deny what these Quranic verses say, then you deny that Muhammad preached the truth. You would be saying that the Quran was sent to confirm the corrupted scriptures of before. Do you understand? Now read Quran 3-3 and I quote, It is he who sent down to thee, step by step, in truth, the book confirming what went before it, and he sent down the law, of Moses, and the gospel, of Jesus, before this. Let's take a look at this. The Arabic word being used in this quote is unzila, meaning sent down, from the root word natsala, to send down or down, loose. According to this quote this means these scriptures came down from Allah. These verses did not come from man to man as the many hadiths published by Sahih al-Bukhari, Muslim, etc., have tried to convince you. Muslims want to believe that the original Torah was changed by the Jews between 610 to 632 AD. In the city of Medina and they use this quote to substantiate their claims. Quran 4:46, of the Jews there are those who displace words from their right places, and say, we hear and we disobey, and hear what is not heard, and reina, with a twist of their tongues and a slander to faith. This verse is only talking about one word reina. Read it again. Now what are you saying? Are you saying that even after your God Allah tells you time and time again that the Torah and the Injil are his words and in Quran 5:47 your God Allah tells you to read the Torah as a guidance and light while there are errors in these scriptures? I want you to think and carefully read what I am about to say. Chapter 4, which is the one you use to say the scriptures are tampered which was revealed between the years 625 to 627 AD. The Quran chapter 5, which speaks about the Torah being a guidance and light was revealed between the year 627 to 629 AD, or after the verse in the Quran which speaks about the Jews in Medina altering words from their places. Therefore, if anything was wrong with the Torah, wouldn't your God Allah, being Al-Alimu the knower, his 19th attribute, would have known and made mention of its tampering instead of speaking of its purity in Quran 5:47? Or are you saying that some human beings came along and tampered with the scriptures of old and your God was not capable of knowing this was going to happen? Are you saying that your God only knows up to a certain point or are just taking the words of a hadith by Ibn Abbas where he presents his own opinion and his interpretation of a verse in the Quran which is supposed to contradict Quran 4:46? Sahih al-Bukhari, Volume 9, narrated Ubaydullah, Ibn Abbas said, why do you ask the people of the book about anything while your book, Quran, which has been revealed to Allah's apostle is newer? You read it pure, undistorted and unchanged, and Allah has told you that the people of the book, Jews and Christians, changed Allah's book and distorted it, and wrote the book with their own hands and said, it is from Allah, to sell it for a little gain. Does not the knowledge which has come to you prevent you from asking them about anything? No, by Allah, we have never seen any man from them asking you regarding what has been revealed to you. Who gave Ibn Abbas the right to tell others to only read the Quran? How did his opinion get to be regarded as Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad? Ibn Abbas is giving explanation for a verse of the Quran which he has no knowledge of. It is not stated in this hadith that what Ibn Abbas is saying are words from Muhammad at all and this is supposedly one of your criterions for hadith. So I ask you now, is the Sunnah which you say you follow, is it from men or from the Prophet Muhammad? Now can you see how easy it has been for men's opinions to be weaved into Islam for hundreds of years? This is what you call reliable, truthful, and trustworthy narrators. These are examples of men who are allowed to freely opinionate on what should be included or excluded from the Quran. If Muslims are so strict in preserving the Quran and its laws, why is such hypocrisy allowed and why are men's opinions of the Quran still being supported?